gather here today at this beautiful memorial to remember and to say thank you to our many brave first responders. Each day, they leave their homes, they say goodbye to their loved ones, not knowing what the day will bring. We're here to remember, but not forget, the ones that lost their lives on September 11, 2001. The attacks resulted in 2,977 fatalities, 25,000 injuries and long-term health consequences just in that morning. Some we knew, some were husbands, wives, mothers, dads, sons and daughters, aunts and uncles, nephews, nieces, cousins, or dear friends. Through no fault of their own, they perished that day because they were there or because they were performing their jobs with no questions asked. 9/11 still remains the deadliest terrorist attack in human history. It's the deadliest incident for our firefighters, our law enforcement officers in the history of the U.S. September 11th, the attacks, or 9/11 as we refer to it, was a series of coordinated terrorist attacks. It was a day of pure evil. We were targeted that day, but we are resilient and we remain so. We pulled together and we did what we could. We comforted each other. Some gave blood. Some went to New York to Ground Zero to help out. Today, we gather here, 20 years later. We gather here as a community to remember the families of Greater Lowell that were personally affected. I am proud and humbled to be here today with so many friends, members of our community. I thank you. I thank the committee, Bill DeRoches, the whole committee, to make this day happen. Thank you to my cousin Dave Nang, who pulled a lot of money together for this, in the entire state delegation. And thank you to all the city departments that transformed this park into what it is today. So today, we ask again, may we never forget, never forget. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And now I'd like to ask the City Manager of Lowell, Eileen Donahue, to say a few words.
Thank you, Bill. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's an honor to be here today for this dedication of this newly restored Liberty Tree Park and this striking monument. This monument that we're looking at today is a fitting reflection of the collective gratitude of our community for the courageous men and women who responded to the 9/11 attacks, of whom so many, nearly 3,000, paid the ultimate sacrifice. 20 years ago, as we've heard today and we all know, our nation suffered one of the most devastating events in our history. The effects of those 9/11 attacks have echoed through these last 20 years, 2 decades, and will continue to be felt for generations to come. In the immediate aftermath of the 9/11 attack, there was a profound sense of apprehension all across this country. It was palpable in every corner of the United States. And I recall vividly the anguish felt among the residents of Lowell. But through it all, we derived a sense of strength and reassurance by the incredible bravery demonstrated by the thousands of first responders who put their lives on the line for people they did not know and they were sworn to protect. And that's the work that our first responders do every day, day in and day out, including on 9/11. Those of us who were alive on September 11, 2001, as Tom has mentioned, will never forget this date in history. We'll never forget where we were. We'll never forget, for those of us who were alive and remember it, it was a day very much like today, a beautiful, blue sky, sunny day. The last thing you'd expect would have been the devastating attack that happened to this country. And I want to thank each and every one of you who are here today, who are taking the time to pay the respect, not just for 9/11, but to all of our first responders. I want to especially recognize the young folks in the audience, the youngsters who are here. Thank you for being here, because you will never forget, thanks to the great work of this committee. I specifically want to thank Bill DeRocher for his vision and persistence through these years. This is the process and the continued dedication that he and his committee had to make sure this came about. So thank you, Bill, to you and all the members of the September 11th, 2001 Memorial Monument Committee for your tireless support of this project. Thank you, Bill. I would also like to recognize the city departments that have participated in this project. We all felt strongly that a monument of this degree of importance deserved a suitable location. I want to thank Planning and Development for working together with the Monument Committee to find that suitable location. I want to thank the Department of Public Works, particularly the Parks Division, and Shannon Cohen, who has worked tirelessly on this. I also want to recognize the Water Department, who did a lot of work to make sure this happened, that it not only is beautiful today, but it will stay beautiful in the future. Thank you so much for your hard work. And lastly, I want to thank everybody who worked so hard to enhance this park, to make it the suitable location for the monument. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And congratulations to those who are so committed to this over these years. Congratulations for making it happen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your kind words for all of us. I'd also like to call upon and recognize our two chiefs of public safety to say a few words. First, Superintendent of Police Kelly Richardson, would you like to say a few words?
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to start off with thanking you, Bill, and the committee for an outstanding job that's already been pointed out by many. To have this monument here so we don't forget the people we lost that day is so important. I know a lot has already been touched on that we can't forget by other speakers, but I think the thing that stood out to me as I was driving here this morning was the fact that 20 years have gone by, and for us, it's probably gone by pretty quick, but I'm sure for the 2,753 families that lost loved ones that day, those 20 years were living hell every day. So we have to think about them every chance we get. I still remember, we talked earlier about where we were that particular day when this happened. I remember walking into my office in the Criminal Bureau at 9:10, even though I was supposed to be in at 9. And the chief of police at the time was Ed Davis, and he's standing in my office with several other people. I believe retired Deputy Cormier was there, and maybe retired Deputy George Ryan. And as I walked in, the second plane had just hit the tower. And Ed turned to me and said, "This is not good." I'm like, "Well, what's going on?" So all of a sudden it was like a quick huddle. And that instant, that moment, realized we had to change how we police this city. We had to start thinking globally. We had to start thinking, what could happen to us here? What would be the targets if they would have come here? So automatically, we started to deploy officers to Middlesex Community College because of the building down there, up to UMass Lowell because of the tower over there, out to Cross Point. Within half an hour of this happening, we already had the wheels in motion to protect our citizens of the city. And that mindset has never lost in the last 20 years that I've been here. Every time something happens in the world, we start thinking about how are we going to protect our people if it comes home to us. And thank God it hasn't. But I'm so glad that you were able to do this. It's an honor for me to be here today. And may God bless all of you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. And as has been said, we all have memories of that morning, and I have very similar memories, just as was described here. And one thing I can assure you, for all the people in Lowell, That morning there was an emergency meeting called, and we had tried to address all of our vulnerabilities in the city and the area. And primarily with the work of the police department, tried to secure all our vulnerable points. And it took quite an undertaking. So it was quite a morning, and actually quite a number of days and weeks and months following. Now I present the Chief of the Lowell Fire Department, Chief Philip Sharon.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming here today. I have the advantage of coming behind such eloquent and distinguished speakers that I don't have any material left, which I'm sure you're all pleased for. I would just like to take an opportunity for us to remember that September 11th of 2001 was a great and terrible day. And even though we saw the evil that mankind can do upon itself, we also saw the greatness in the response, the commitment to excellence, the sacrifice. We saw it on our televisions. Many of us saw it in person. For some families, they're seeing it still. Our veterans, our members of police and fire departments, our public safety personnel continue to die from the lingering effects of this terrible disaster. And I hope today that you'll offer a prayer for them as well. Not just for those who fell that day, who are indeed due a great honor, but also those who continue to fall to keep us safe. God bless. Thank you.